Greetings. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Friday, October 30, 2020. For today's editorial, it's time to fully reopen our schools. No ifs and buts about it. When the Department of Education, or DepEd, opened the new school year last October 5, there still lingered in the country plenty of second thoughts and second guessing on whether it was truly time to reopen schools across the entire archipelago. Some wanted the shutdown to continue out of fear of the pandemic because there was still no vaccine against the virus. Others, like some student groups calling for an academic freeze or a total suspension of the upcoming school year because of an imagined unpreparedness of the school system for the return of schooling. And then there were those who doubted the menu of online classes and blended system that the DepEd had devised to cope with the situation. In a bold exercise of responsibility, Education Secretary Leonor Briones shrugged off all of the hesitation and naysaying and went ahead with the reopening of classes on October 5. She declared that the reopening of classes would in itself be a victory against the COVID-19 pandemic. Now comes the news that our government was right and wise to press forward in the opening of the school year. School openings have become the call of the hour across the length and breadth of the planet. In a new report issued on Wednesday, October 28, the United Nations and the World Bank urged governments to reopen their schools and keep them open, despite the risks posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. They highlighted the damage the pandemic has inflicted on children's education, especially in poor countries. The UN report said children in impoverished countries have been deprived of close to 4 months of schooling since the pandemic began earlier this year, while pupils in rich nations benefiting from remote learning have lost 6 weeks. Prioritizing reopening of schools and providing much-needed catch-up classes are critical, said Robert Jenkins, Education Chief at the United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF. We don't need to look far to see the devastation the pandemic has caused to children's learning across the world, he added. The devastation has magnified in low and middle income nations where there has been a lack of access to distant learning, higher chances of delays for school reopenings, and fewer resources to mitigate health risks. The UN's cultural agency, UNESCO, and the World Bank also said it is essential for countries to invest immediately in school systems to reduce the widening gap between the education provided in poor and rich countries because of the pandemic. The report from UNICEF, UNESCO, and the World Bank was based on information collected from nearly 150 nations between June and October. Reinforcing this policy advice of the UN and international organizations is a report by the New York Times on October 22 that scientists have found that school children are unlikely to spread the coronavirus. The New York Times said, months into the school year, school reopenings across the United States remain a patchwork of plans: in person, remote, and hybrid, masked and not, socially distanced and not. But amidst this jumble, one clear pattern is emerging. So far, schools do not seem to be stoking community transmission of the coronavirus, according to data emerging from random testing in the United States and Britain. Elementary schools, especially, to seed remarkably few infections. The evidence is far from conclusive, and much of the research has been tarnished by flaws in data collection and analysis. School reopenings are very much a work in progress. Still, many experts are encouraged by the results to date. Brooke Nichols, an infectious disease modeler at the Boston University School of Public Health, said, "The more and more data that I see, the more comfortable I am that children are not, in fact, driving transmission, especially in school settings." All this emboldens us to say now that DepEd and our school system should shoot for the total reopening and normalization of schooling by early next year. This is a debt the nation owes our children and our youth. And that's the editorial for Friday, October 30, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to the voice of the Times.